Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Let's talk a little Milwaukee Brewers. A very successful weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers, taking 3 out of 4 against the Cincinnati Reds. Going back to Friday night, picking up a 3-2 victory. And then you go back to Saturday, dug themselves in kind of a deep hole with the Reds going up 7-0 right away through 4 innings. But the Brewers tried chipping away at it, tried to chip away a little bit at it, but couldn't quite catch up. So they fell 11-7, but then they bounced back yesterday and pick up an 8-2 victory where Chad Patrick was pretty darn good. And I also, Friday night, I want to give Tyler Alexander some credit too, because Alexander went out there and pitched 5 2/3, striking out 6, no earned runs, no walk, had a no going, but did have no runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks, no hits, had a no going there too. So I do want to make sure to give Tyler Alexander a nice shout out there too, because that was a solid performance from him going up against the Reds on Friday night. But after starting the season off 0-4 and things weren't looking great, especially in the pitching department, the Brewers have bounced back nicely and have won 5 of their last 6 to get back to 5-5 on the season and are 1 game back from the Cubs, who are sitting there at 7-5 in the NL Central standings. The one downer over the weekend was the news that Nestor Cortes will be on the 15-day injured list due to an elbow strain. The Brewers announced it yesterday. They called up Grant Wolfram from AAA to get his to fill in his spot. So, according to some of the comments, Milwaukee Brewers assistant general manager Matt Klein said Cortez's elbow, quote, started feeling a little scratchy earlier last week. Imaging was done, and the team compared it to the imaging done after the trade. During the offseason, Cortes rehabbed apparently from a similar injury suffered towards the end of the 2024 regular season, but, quote, it didn't show any significant changes. Cortes saying, I was like, I feel something, but I don't know what it is. I'm still going out there. I'm throwing. I threw my bullpen. Everything is normal. They wanted to see if there was something alarming, so I don't make my start Thursday, but I feel like they saw what it was and didn't feel like it was going to hurt me. So it seems like the concern level is low with this issue. But again, whenever there's a pitcher and you throw the word elbow in there or arm in there, I always get nervous. I mean, it's just, I always get nervous. Hopefully the concern level is low. They say it's low, but we've been down this road before, not to try to be a negative or a Debbie Downer or anything like that. You always get nervous. And I think the one thing that really kind of popped out to me was where apparently this was something that he had been going through last year, and the Brewers were aware of this and looking at his scans after that and his MRIs after that. So, I mean, it was something apparently that they were aware of or kind of familiar with that he had gone through at the end of last year. So hopefully this doesn't develop into something major. But Cortes also went on to say, I think between me and the medical staff, we've had good communications, just because obviously once I got traded, I got an MRI in the offseason, and then going through the whole rehab process during the offseason kind of gave us a better idea of where I stood with the arm. I mean, we did a really good job in spring training, so it sucks that we're here now. I think with a small break here, it'll feel a lot better. Hopefully there's inflammation. The inflammation goes down. And if there's strengthening to do, we get that, and hopefully I'm back sooner rather than later. So, yeah, another hit to this Brewers pitching staff. we'll see how it all kind of plays out here, but that was definitely a downer from over the weekend. I mean, Freddie Peralta is now the only regular starter in this rotation at this current point in time for the Brewers. Get this guy bubble wrapped, and Freddie Peralta is slated to get the start against the Rockies tomorrow night. But you've had guys like a Tyler Alexander come in, get that start on Friday, pitch really well. Chad Patrick now has also put back-to-back performances of some solid, really solid games. Going back to that game against the Royals where kind of changed the tide of everything, giving the Brewers more than what they probably expected from him. In their first win of the season, he tossed 4 2/3 of scoreless work against the Royals. Didn't qualify for the W, but yesterday he did qualify for the W and got his first win. Pat Murphy after the game saying very, very poised. You wouldn't know that he just started his major league career. Very poised, sensible with his stuff. There's a ton of room for improvement, but just him gaining that confidence that he belongs and that he can help us twice on this homestand, it's really kind of significant. So I'm sure he's probably going to get some more opportunities this year, and right now this Brewers team with this pitching staff is kind of following a similar pattern to what we saw last year. Guys getting banged up, younger guys getting opportunities to showcase what they could bring to the table. It was Robert Gasser last year before he ended up getting hurt. It was Tobias Myers last year too. A couple of young guys in the minors that maybe we didn't know a whole lot about or weren't really familiar with. And they get a shot. And I'm not saying Chad Patrick's going to be, similar to what Robert Gasser was last year or what Tobias Myers was last year. Obviously, I'm hoping that's the case, that a guy like Chad Patrick can turn into that this year, but it's way too early to say that. But it's kind of eerie how it's so far for this Brewers pitching staff following a similar pattern to last year. And hopefully, it's obviously a little bit earlier this season because we're expecting Tobias Myers to be back here soon. We're expecting Aaron Savali to be back. They're saying nothing, too concerning with Nestor Cortez. We're expecting Brandon Woodruff to probably be back next month. So we are getting guys back where it was maybe a little bit different last year where, Robert Gasser gets hurt and he's done. They tried to bring in Dallas Keuchel. They made the trade for Aaron Savali. They made the trade for Frankie Montas. Wade Miley went down early last year. So hopefully when these guys do come back, it'll kind of settle down this pitching staff where we're not kind of juggling around all over the place here. But hopefully, because I would imagine in the immediate future, Patrick's going to get some more opportunities. And hopefully he can kind of continue to take advantage of that and make the decision hard for the Brewers whenever they do get at full strength. Like, what do we got to find a role for this guy? Is it going to be continuing to get some starts, or is it the bullpen and such? Way too early to talk about that, but you still got to tip the cap to Chad Patrick for what he has done in his last couple of starts here, and definitely helping out the Brewers manage a very stressful situation. But this team's got grit. I mean, last year we saw this Brewers team have a boatload of grit, right? I mean, this was a team that battled those injuries. This was a team that we didn't know what to expect last year. And we talked about it a lot. I had no expectations going into last year. Brand new manager. You had this kid that was all hype and double-A and single-A and spent the hot minute in triple-A and gets a big contract. Didn't know what to expect from him. Didn't know what to expect from Yelly. There was just a lot of unknowns, and they showcased a lot of grit last year. And so far in the early stages, in the first 10 games of this season, this Brewers team, again, is showing that grit, and I think a lot of it is they're following their lead from their manager, Pat Murphy. And this is why this team, they call me a little bit of a homer on this, I don't care, but I believe this is a big reason why this team is so easy to root for, to back, to cheer for, to follow, is because they show that grit. They kind of show that blue-collar work mentality. Yeah, they're dealing with a lot of injuries in the pitching department, but you don't hear them use it as an excuse. They still go out there, they still work their butts off, and they still go out there, and right now, they're winning games. They've won 5 of their last 6. It's that grit factor, that blue-collar work mentality. That's the impression I get from this team again so far this year. It was like that last year, and I know it's only 10 games into a 162-game season, but it's kind of that same feeling right now. And I think it starts with the mindset that their manager brings to this clubhouse, brings to this team, that Pat Murphy brings us. This team follows his lead. They buy in. And you're looking at not only from the pitching side with a Chad Patrick, stepping up and taking advantage of his opportunities. But then, you've got this guy like Sal Frelick, okay? I love watching Sal Frelick play. When we talk about some of your favorite players to watch, I love watching Sal Frelick play. Because if Sal Frelick doesn't have a dirty jersey, whether, in the pants or in the front, then he must have had a really quiet day. That is a dude that is like, whether it's in the field hustling, chasing down a fly ball, chasing down, or trying to beat out a run to first. He doesn't have the most power in the world, but this is a guy that he'll get you base hits, he'll get on base, and I don't think I've seen this guy play less than 100 miles per hour in any single game. Like, I enjoy watching Sal Frelick play. He's not going to be the power guy and hit you some towering shots. But for a guy who's listed at 5'8", this is a guy that plays with a ton of heart and a ton of hustle. And he's always diving and just he's one of my favorite players to watch right now, and he's off to a really good start this year. So far this season, he's hitting .378. He's got an OPS of a .911 and an on-base percentage of a .452. No home runs, couple stolen bases, nothing flashy in the power department, but they still consistently put him in the middle of that lineup. He's kind of a non-traditional middle of the lineup hitter, 5th, 6th spot in there, but he's come through the clutch on a couple of hits, on a few hits so far this season. And we know, he's a Gold Glove winning outfielder. But this is a dude that plays with all heart, plays with the emotions on his sleeves, and just goes all out every single day. I love watching number 10 go out there and play. And I love watching Jackson Chourio go out there and play too, because, this is a guy that, if he's not playing with a smile on his face, then I think you need to start worrying. This is a guy that goes out there and just plays ball for the pure enjoyment of it. And yesterday's game, it's easy to look at it and just kind of just focus on that game. And a couple home runs, fantastic. But so far this season, .295 and OPS of an .880. But you break it down in his last 29 at-bats, it's a .345 average, and he's slugging .759 with his 3 dingers. And this is a guy that started opening day 0 for 5 with 5 Ks, with 5 strikeouts. It's always fun to watch Jackson Chourio play ball. And then you got Bryce Terang, who right now, to begin the 2025 season, .325, OPS of an .849. He's also got a couple dingers, 6 RBIs, and this is a guy that's been back and forth between being the leadoff hitter or kind of the second leadoff hitter, because going up against a lot of left-handed pitching. And this is where you got to give Bryce Terang a ton of credit. For a guy, when he began his career, where he struggled going up against left-handed pitching. In his first year, and it was like, okay, we probably can't keep him in the lineup because he just struggles going up against left-handed pitching. What does Pat Murphy do last year? Pat Murphy's like, I'm going to give you a shot. I'm going to give you a chance. We're going to keep you in the lineup, and I'm going to give you a chance that you can prove that you can battle. You can go up there and have some success or have some success going up against left-handed pitching. And he took advantage of that. Pat Murphy showed that confidence in him and Bryce Terang. And Pat Murphy's talked about it how many times with Bryce Terang going up there. And Bryce Strang's rewarded him. And so far this season, even with going up against a ton of left-handed pitching to begin with, what is he doing this year? Hitting .325 with a couple home runs and an OPS of an .849. I mean, just these three players, then you throw in a guy like a Chad Patrick. You throw in the start that Freddie Peralta's had so far this season. If you had to describe this Brewers team with one word, I would describe it with grit. This is exactly what this team has done so far. They're kind of picking up where they left off last year. It was a slow start, no question about it. But this team has shown some incredible grit, and it's so fun to watch this blue-collar mentality that you're getting from this ball club, from these guys. Off day today for the Brew Crew before they return into action on the road, taking on the Colorado Rockies. Taking on the Rockies on the road tomorrow. All right, let's take a quick break. Your thoughts on from what you saw this weekend from the Brew Crew? Hit me up with a text. We've got some Hoops talk coming up in just a little bit.